Alright then, hello everyone and welcome to what is the first of the final 4 races of Season 7 here in NEF1. We're at Interlagos for another iteration of the Brazilian Grand Prix, the championship, now well and truly in its closing stages. Both championships still very much alive, and it is incredibly close in the driver standings between Ondřejk, Nasi and Djokovic. We'll have a look at that in between qualifying and the race. It is a short qualifying session for this race in Brazil, then 18 minutes to decide the starting grid for the sprint race, followed by the Grand Prix that is to come. 12 laps worth of sprint race action coming up then in 18 minutes time. However, relatively small field today could prove beneficial actually around the track, which is quite short. One of the shorter tracks, one of the quicker lap times on the NEF1 calendar, maybe even the shortest. I'm not positive on that, so don't quote me, but it's a quick lap around here. Closing speeds could be absolutely rapid at certain parts of the circuit, so stay clear for that. Going on board then with Spenclo 64 first out on track. And now I absolutely love these sprint qualifying sessions because every single lap you put in matters. You can afford not one single mistake, and especially at a track like this where it is so easy to just go a wheel over the track limits and get your lap invalidated. Can't afford any mistakes today. It is bang on right from the start, and a track which has mixed heritage in any F1 really. Not had any proper bangers around this place yet, but a track which at the moment is currently running at the very front of the provisional Season 8 calendar, so we might well be back here in just a couple of weeks' time. Who knows? The calendar is still to be confirmed, but news will start dropping relatively soon. We should have some stuff for you in not too long. Spenclo then, it's a very quick outlap for the Williams driver and straight into the Senna S's. Just a couple of weeks after the 30-year anniversary of his unfortunate demise around Imola track, where they're actually going racing in a couple of days in real life Formula 1. Absolutely perfect timing. So then, tricky left-hander that just lets off the throttle a little bit coming out of it. That is going to cost him maybe about a half a tenth of a second. Tricky triple right-hander this. Coming up to a little bit of a hairpin. Needs to lose the rear coming out of this corner, but Spenclo's managed to hold it quite nicely, and now little left-hander we can get on the power relatively early up to this next hairpin, and this is where it is incredibly easy to lose the rear coming out of, but manages to hold on to that relatively nicely. Flat then to the final proper corner. 2 more bends to go, but flat out from here down all the way to the start-finish line. So then, first lap time on the board, we're looking at a sub 110, most likely, probably about a 107, 108, and it is going to be a 108.815 for Spenclo, who gets this session underway then. Squidge not far off his teammates back, and he is going to come across for a 109.068, about 2 tenths behind his teammate. Wiggins 71 in the middle of a lap. Djokovic is coming up to the end of his first flying lap as well. Everything's just going to happen relatively quick here in this first run. Second and third run, we're going to have a little bit more of a chance of trying to catch certain drivers on their way to the grid. Ondřejk still in the pit lane, worth mentioning. Djokovic then, is he going to go fastest? Yes, he is. By about 3 tenths of a second, Djokovic moves into P1. Championship second place at the moment. Ondřejk took that position away from him last week out. Now Djokovic looking to rebound strong here in Brazil at yet another sprint race, the second last sprint race of the season. We're coming up on one more next week out in Vegas. That is followed by Saudi Arabia and Abu Dhabi, 2 regular races to close off the season. Wiggins just come across the line for a 109.495. This is a track which Wiggins does enjoy somewhat. He used to enjoy anyhow. We'll wait and see how he gets on here. Nasi just now coming out of the pit lane. Then Ondřejk is still in. Worth mentioning. Iwatts out on track coming into the final sector. So Van Iwatts and Darren Style currently actually very close to each other on track. Darren's just now coming up to the penultimate corner, going through the penultimate corner and into the last one. Nice apex start from Darren Style, and nice and early on the power. Powers his way down to the line. Let's see what this is going to be. Iwatts is right on his tail. Djokovic, 108.537 is the time to beat Darren. What is he going to be able to do? It's a decent lap. It's 109.490. Plays him ahead of his teammate in 6th. Iwatts Goes up into fourth, 109.394. Just dipping the tire on the grass there. Now it's a little bit of a confusion going through the Senna S's. I believe that might have been Darren. Yes, it was. No harm, no foul. Ondracek then, championship leader, is coming out on track for the first time this evening. Let's see what he's going to be able to produce. This should be a track that suits him rather well, if I'm not mistaken. Wait and see. Let's not make any hasty judgments, but Ondracek is... it's just been immense ever since he came back into NEF1. Not lost a race since. NEF1 then, championship leader for most of the beginning of the season now. Just struggling a little bit, not struggling really, but he has lost that advantage that he had previously in the championship. Let's see if he can have a couple of strong ones here and try to regain that confidence and maybe have a last couple of races worth of a push for the championship, which he so much deserves. Here we go, then into the sweeping left-hander, late on the brakes, nice and early on the downshifts, and that is absolutely perfect from NEF1. Very, very good sector 1. And it is a really narrow track here around Brazil as well, shouldn't be understated. Fast and flowing circuit, but it is incredibly narrow, just like Monza really. Not a lot of room to pass. This is looking very nice and flowing at the moment from Nasi. We didn't really catch a glimpse of Djokovic's lap at all, unfortunately, before he came across the line, so we don't really know what a similar look is like. Let's have a look and see. Nasi's coming up to the line in just a moment then. And he's followed by Ondracek going through sector 2 as things stand. Here we go then, Nasi across the line. Is he going to go fast out of anyone? Yes, he is. And by a margin, 0.4 of a second, Nasi takes P1 away from Djokovic, who now needs to improve. And by a little bit as well, 0.4. Almost exactly up to NEF1. Not used to seeing that big of a gap between the two. That really has been the closest rivals over the course of the season. Nasi and Djokovic has been incredibly close between the two. As here we go, and Ondracek is coming up to the line. Is he going to be able to improve on Nasi's best lap? 108.1 to beat, and is Ondracek going to be able to do so? No, fails to do so by a couple of tenths of a second. Nasi at the moment looks strongest, 108.463 for Ondracek. And now that's a bit of a gap that might have him worried that Nasi could be coming strong here at the end of the season. Nothing set in stone. The championship still very much up for grabs. Is not a big of an advantage between, or is not a big of a gap between the two as well. Just running through the order, and Ondracek is on a 230, 225 for Djokovic, and 217 for Nasi. So if he has a strong result here, he'll be right back in it. JV8 is coming across the line then to start his flying lap. His teammate currently sitting in P11 on a 109.683, about a second and a half worth of field spread here with 9:40 to go. Hybrids just out of pit lane then. As has a team at the moment that is on a bit of a roll, and JV8 really picking up the pace at the latter stages of this season. Starting to see those signs of improvement. Hope those carry through, especially into next season as well for JV8. Absolutely brilliant to see him just get those couple of points every now and again. Ooh, a little bit uncomfortable maybe on the exit there, but managed to hold that nicely, and now heading into the sweeping left-hander. Penultimate corner should be flat out. Indeed it is. Nice and easy on the exit, and through the last turn. Looked in control. So in a couple of seconds to get to the line. Is he going to be able to get close to his teammate first of all? Just going to miss the mark by a couple of tenths of a second. JV8 might have to go again. Little drips at the moment, are qualifying his teammate by about 6 tenths of a second. Hybrid still waiting for his first competitive lap time, whereas his teammate currently sitting in P8 just behind iWatts by about half a tenth of a second. Close margins here in Brazil, especially with the short nature of the circuit. Incredibly close margins. Wait and see how it all unfolds. NEF1 then leads at the halfway stage of the session. He is followed closely by Ondřejk and Djokovic, but they have some ground to make up. Djokovic is just now starting his second flying lap, and this is one where he does need to show a bit of sign of improvement, not only to Ondřejk, especially up to Nasse in P1. Wigan has come across for a very decent lap that. Up at P4, it's a 108.764, and Wigan really is having a better second half of the season than his first. Move to Red Bull seems to have worked for him mid-season, and yeah, he's improving. Starting to score points consistently, absolutely love to see it. Wigan 71, might he be able to grab a podium here at the end? Who knows, but he is now starting to look like the Wigan of old. Djokovic then through sector 2 looks smooth so far. 36, 37, 38. Heading into the trickiest corner of the track, then long right-handed hairpin that really. So a bit of an awkward corner. Penultimate corner, then flat all the way through. Nice and tidy on the exit. Doesn't even touch the exit curbs. He's improving by 3.5 tenths of a second. Maybe track evolution is a bit of a thing here. Nasse still in the pit lane. Is he going to come out once or twice to finish off this session? Wait and see. Djokovic will have time to come round again. And will he be able to go fastest? Yes, he will. Beats out Nasse by about 0.5 tenth of a second. Djokovic takes provisional pole position, and now we can expect Ondřejk at a similar rate of improvement as well, as long as he has the pace to improve around this place, which I certainly believe. So now, Nasse's going to start looking at those numbers, maybe starting to get a little bit worried, maybe should have come out realistically here at the middle stage of this session. So I'm going to have one shot now at the end here. If he messes that up, pole position has been snatched away from him in brutal fashion. Ondřejk is improving through sector 1 by about 2 tenths of a second. That's about 3 tenths exactly up to Nasse. Interesting situation this. Nasse may be just a bit complacent. And I believe that's Padovan coming into the pit lane as well, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, it is. Ondřejk still improving, coming up to the sector split, and he's improving by 3.5 tenths of a second, which at the moment would see him ahead of Nasse if he can just have a decent run down to the line. Only one corner really, sector 3, and then it's just straight running. Depends on how you set up your car, but you can lose a lot of time on this straight if you're running high downforce. Sticks to the inside, and Ondřejk goes second fastest. Couple of hundredths ahead of Nasse, but it is very close between the top 3. 0.5 tenth of a second separate them. Incredibly close stuff here. Then 6 tenths of a second down to Wigan in P4. This season really has been the story of this front 3. BT has been able to snatch a win in Monaco, but apart from that, no other race winners apart from Djokovic, Ondřejk and Nasse. Incredible performance from all 3 of them, and basically having a lock on the podium as well. Should be worth mentioning, Matty has got an awful amount of P2s, along with the Williams duo of Spenclose and Squidge getting on the podium every now and again as well. So there's not been a complete podium lockout, but Djokovic, Ondřejk and Nasse definitely having one foot on that podium every time they enter a session. Squidge now on what I would assume is his second to last run. Should have time to get around once more, and he is improving by 0.5 second. Now that is going to see him up in a P4. If he can keep up that rate of improvement, which he definitely should. Looked like he had a decent last corner. And this is a driver who's really having a breakout season as well. Did well last season as well, with a win obviously coming, I believe it was in Spain. But now really just coming alive this season as well with those consistent performances. No wins so far, but a handful of podiums, decent in the Drivers' Championship, which is looking good. Currently sitting in P4 as well on 108.496. Still, nonetheless, not close to Djokovic, Ondřejk and Nasse in the top 3. Still a very good performance and a bit clear of Wigan and his teammate, and he'll be happy with that. Watts then is heading out on track, and now everything's going to start happening relatively quickly. We've got about 3 minutes remaining in this session. Everything's just going to happen at the same time. Djokovic, Ondřejk and Nasse all going to come out in about half a minute's time, you would assume. It's a very decent chance we have everyone out here at the very end of the session. The question is, how late do people dare to go? Not too many track limits and validations this qualifying session, maybe even none that I've seen really. So we can just double check that real quick. No, we can't. Maybe we can. Hold on. Only 3 track limits and validations over the course of the entire session so far. That's actually impressive. I thought it was going to be way more. Couple of people speeding in the pit lane, however, which is usually normal in qualifying. Doesn't give you a penalty, just a warning for some reason. Here we go, Iwatts on his final flying lap, you would assume. Then 2.5 minutes ago, does have time to go again if he does mess up this one a little bit. Can be a good idea, just push like an absolute madman on this first attempt. If it doesn't work, back off and go once more. So here we go then, a little bit of improvement through Sector 1, which is mainly just the San Esses and the following sweeping left-hander. Now, Sector 2 is where you really make or break a lap around Brazil. And Nasi first out on track, Djokovic and Ondrejek staying in the pit lane, coming out just now then, and there we do have a track limits invalidation from Iwatts, which is going to hamper him slightly, but should be able to recharge that battery quite a bit, hopefully. Question is, does he have the fuel to? And now obviously having to deal with traffic as well, not going to place him in a brilliant position. Wiggins out on track at the moment, not improving through Sector 1, however. What is Spenklos able to do? Currently sitting in P6. Not improving through Sector 1. Oh, that is not going to help his chances. Probably do well to abandon that lap, turn the ERS off, go once more. Here we go then, Nasi in his bid for pole position is improving through Sector 1, needs to improve just that little bit further. Djokovic and Ondrejek with one more go at this as well. But Nasi then, only having done one proper run in this session, is at a little bit of a disadvantage because of it. Now, how hard is he going to push it round the second sector? Needs to really get the foot down. As he does like a car that is quite draggy as well, but quite planted through the corners by the look of things. And yeah, I think we can tell from this on, but it looks very planted through the second sector. Is it going to be quick though? Yes it is, and at the moment on pace for a provisional P1. Nice launch out of our final corner, and now he is putting the pressure on Djokovic and Ondrejek. I think we can expect a new fastest lap here from Nasi 31. Might we see someone into the 107s? We're going to get close to it. Ah, just so close, but just quicker than Djokovic ultimately. Nasi goes fastest here. Djokovic is not going to be able to get a lap in here. Something has gone wrong, and now, if forced on Ondrejek, Djokovic, I'm sure, would have been tempted to place his car very much in the way of that Mercedes. Doesn't do so. Now it's all on Ondrejek. Will he be able to out-qualify Djokovic and Nasi? Will he have been somewhat distracted by Djokovic off track there? The session is now close then. One more run to go for everyone that has just made it across the line. For everyone else, we're saying thank you and goodbye for the time being. Ondrejek is improving, but not by a margin. Nasi might have just done enough here, which could be a huge result for him. Ondrejek on the run to the line needs to improve, and by quite a bit just on this run down. But I don't think he's going to do it. It is going to be close. He's just gonna do it in the final sector, and how has he managed to pull that off? 107.977, and it's not really too close at the end of it. Ondrejek snatches pole position away in the final corner, that must have been, from Nasi and Djokovic, who's gonna start P3, Squidge in P4, followed by his teammate Spenklos in P5, Wigan in P6, followed by No Larks there in P7, and P8 is Padarang, unless he can improve just a little bit. Might be able to, stays P8. Hybrid in P9 and Iwatts in P10 with Darren in P11, and the two has rounding up the field in 12th and 13th. A little bit of a tricky session that for JV8, wasn't able to get out of 1 minute 10s. Oh, but that is a gut punch really to Nasi. It really did look like he did enough there to snatch pole position away at the end. Just not quite enough there. Ondrejek takes pole position yet again here in Brazil for the sprint race. And keep in mind, no massive points gap in the sprint as well. Just going to get the points on the board. Doesn't really matter if you lose one or drop one from P1 or P2. But there we go then, less than a tenth of a second separating the top two, just over a tenth of a second separating the top three. Then a little bit of a gap down to Squidge, Spenklos in P4 and P5 with Win in P6, followed by No Larks and Patarang running up the top 8, which are the positions that we're going to be looking at for the sprint race. 12 laps worth of racing action around the Brazilian Grand Prix circuit then is coming up in a couple of moments. Until then, don't go anywhere. We'll be back quite soon with full coverage of that sprint race. I'm just going to go on a quick break. We will see you in just a couple of minutes time. Alright, then the ready up has been given to start the Brazilian Grand Prix sprint race. 12 laps worth of racing action, and we're getting reports from Patarang at the moment that there might be rain coming in at the end of the session. Does look relatively overcast. We'll wait and see, but rain, not an impossibility here at the sprint, which definitely would shake things up. If it comes towards the end as well, might see some people gamble on intermediates while others stay out, hoping that the rain isn't going to come down hard enough for the inters to really switch on, and the time benefit will be substantial. We'll wait and see, but definitely hoping for some varied conditions here towards the end. Looking like it could happen. Here we go. Wondertech takes the formation lap as he has done relatively many a time right now in NEF1. Nasi is in P2. Fast starting Djokovic in P3, followed by Squidge next to him. I believe on that inside line as well. Could prove beneficial into turn 1 and towards the Sanasis. But the biggest overtaking zone will be heading into this corner we're coming up to now. Turn 4 is going to be the main overtaking zone for the race, I would assume. And especially on this race start. Main overtaking zone of the race should be in turn 1, obviously. Very sorry about that. As hello, Christina the Gamer, I'm doing very well. How are you doing? Christina cheering on No Larks as well, turning into a bit of an AlphaTauri supporter for this season. Usually cheering on Matty, who's not racing today, turns to the teammate then. Possible race strategies, as said, it is a no-stop race this. Should be good for one stint, either mediums or softs. Everyone looking like they're going for that softer tire. It is going to be 12 laps worth of pure hard racing this, and I'm very much looking forward to it. No Locks and Padarang maybe just coming together on the formation lap, have been disqualified from the formation lap. They will be allowed to start the Grand Prix, mind you, and just not get their tires properly in order for the start of the race. Ondrejek then is coming on to the start-finish line, so Snassi, Djokovic and everyone else with Little Drips and Jay line the field in 12th and 13th, which to be fair could be quite a handy place to start this race. Might get a bit messy into the Sanesses. We'll wait and see. Ondrejek in P1, Nassi in P2, Djokovic in P3. Let's go. As here we go then, 5 red lights are on and it is lights out and away we go. Once again for the Brazilian Grand Prix, and Nassi has gone away well. Will he be able to challenge down inside of turn 1? Yes he will. Side by side then with Ondrejek for the lead of the sprint race immediately. Oh, a bit nasty that from bit naughty that from Nassi 31, just squeezing past Ondrejek on the start of that race. And now Djokovic might have a move down to turn 4. No, thinks better of it, but it is close stuff between Nassi and Ondrejek there at the very start. Ondrejek might be a bit upset with that one, but hard racing through Sanes as Nassi desperately wants lead of this Grand Prix, trying to salvage this season. Lost quite a bit of ground in the championship over the last couple of weeks where he wasn't able to participate. He is going to be somewhat stressed with that. JV8 making up a couple of positions on the start. Hybrid and No Locks losing a couple. Hybrid with 3, No Locks with 6. So something did go very, very wrong for the AlphaTauri driver there, along with the Aston Martin driver running quite a couple of seconds behind. So maybe just a bit of a coming together. We'll wait and see. Here we go then, first chance at an overtake on Nassi 31 from Ondrejek. Will he be able to get it made into the first corner? Picks up a nice little slipstream. Nassi though doesn't really have to go defensive, stays in P1 for the time being. Djokovic just hanging back, but gets a bit uncomfortable coming out of Sanesses. However, he has a bit of a gap down to Squidge already. After that, it is one train down to Darren Style in P7. Double points at the moment for Red Bull. Little Rips with the last point at the moment in P8. That is going to be an intriguing battle because he has iWatts for company right there with him, who's trying to get around the outside of Padarang. Turns to the inside for the next corner as Padarang loses it on the outside there. Unfortunate that for Padarang. Got to get back on track safely, and now got to be determined. Oh, that is a bit weird between the two teammates. Hybrid and Padarang will have to sort that one out somehow, but that's going to turn into a nice little intriguing battle maybe. Padarang looking eager to get ahead of his teammate again. As per se, No Larks has, I believe, gone into the pits and is now 38 seconds behind. Incredibly tough if we don't have a safety car for him. Ondrejek still on the back of Nassi. So here we go, Spenclose is on the back of Squidge. Now the two Williams might use each other just to leapfrog up the order a little bit, try to get away from Wigan in P6. Always good teamwork between these two, and the top 3 has now broken away. It's Nassi, Ondrejek and Djokovic. Would you believe it? Yet again this season, we've not seen that before, have we? Nassi, Ondrejek and Djokovic. Never before this season have we seen that. Matty Adams in chat, obviously Matty MC16 saying cracking move from Nassi going through the Sanas. Indeed it was a really nice move from Nassi 31 to take the lead of this sprint race. Whether he'll be able to stay there is a matter of debate, because here we go with DRS for the first time this race, and Ondrejek now might start to fancy his chances a little bit on Nassi 31. DRS is enabled too early around this circuit, to be fair, but he's going to have the inside line towards the Senna SS. He goes for it. Nasi tries to hang it around the outside, but has to give up on it. However, he will have the DRS coming round this next corner. And now, with maybe a little bit of a run down to turn 4, is going to be able to get that move back on him. Nasi retakes the lead on lap 4 after Undercheck just had it for a couple of meters there. Now Djokovic very much involved in that as well. Squidge has made it past his teammate, and something's gone on with the two Aston Martins because Patarang is stationary on the outside of turn 2. Hybrid and Patarang getting very close to each other on lap 3 or lap 2, and so the question is, has something gone on with them now here early on lap 4? Wait and see, but it is very, very a fast lap here. Nasi and Undercheck about to go for round 2 then. Also pointing out, looks like a little bit of a Senna tribute helmet maybe from Undercheck. Nice stuff if that is the case, but definitely the Senna colours on that lid. Here we go, Undercheck on Nasi. Has he learned his lesson, not going down inside of turn 1? Yes, he has. Does invite Djokovic into the conversation though. Now let's see if Nasi can get a good run out of the Senna S's and maybe go defensive into turn 4. Does keep away rather nicely. Undercheck staying behind for the time being. Doesn't really look like he's interested in that move as of yet. Now, the question is Undercheck just going to start tearing down Nasi, as he has done so many times this season to both Nasi and Djokovic and all other drivers he's raced, to be fair. But especially those two. He's gotten the better of them on many an occasion, because Undercheck never really runs away with races, but just outthinks these two, and he's been able to do it consistently this season. Not lost a race since he's come back into NEF1. His win streak at the moment sits on 8, if I'm not mistaken. As I believe we've had a problem with little drips, and that has caused a virtual safety car, and I believe Nasi is going to be very happy with that, as it is right on the DRS straight. That couldn't have come at a better time for Nasi, especially if he can get a good restart here. Just allowing Nasi one more lap of security. Djokovic might not be overly happy with that. So the question is now, how long is that virtual going to stay out for, and is it going to turn into a full safety car? I think we're clear on that front. Obviously we would like to run uninterrupted. Now it looks like everyone's speeding up a little bit again. Surely just about to go green. Virtual safety car should be coming to an end quite soon. No, just slowing down a little bit. Always hard to judge. The drivers actually have better information of when it's going green than we do. One has into the pit lane little drips. As here we go, Djokovic, and that's huge for the championship. Messes up the virtual safety car restart, get a drive through penalty, and that is going to hamper him for this sprint race. And for the Grand Prix, it is going to set him back quite a few places. Now, he needs to get a good run through the rest of this race. He needs to just make up as much time as he possibly can now for a couple of laps before he serves that penalty. Probably try to get rid of as many people as he can towards the back. Here we go then, Nasi and Undercheck, round 3, and now Undercheck has a massive run down to turn 1, and surely he's going to get that move done. Yes he is. Nasi's hanging back at the moment, might try a move on him down to turn 4. Through turn 3 then, left-handed corner now, Undercheck trying to pull away a little bit. Nasi now with the DRS, and he is eating up that gap to the inside towards turn 4 and gets the place back on lap 7 out of 12. Nasi at the moment on his way to P1 is looking good so far. Hard battling with Undercheck. Djokovic is probably a bit caught out there with that time or with that drive-through penalty. Needs to figure out on what lap to serve it. However, needs to serve it or he will be disqualified from this race. Not an ideal place to get that penalty as well. Relatively long pit lane around here. Undercheck, oh, he is so on the back of Nasi going through Sector 2 into Sector 3. Which at the moment I don't think Nasi really minds, because it does allow Undercheck's almost forced to go past them heading into turn 1, which allows Nasi to come back through turn 4. which has happened now. Nasi now going to be able to set Undercheck up on a bit of a different line through the Sanasis. Are we now going to see Nasi come back on Undercheck yet again? Down inside of turn 4, yes he does, and oh, Undercheck might now be coming back at Nasi a little bit. No, just backs out of it, makes slight contact. Hard racing for the lead of the sprint race here, Nasi and Undercheck. As for Djokovic, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, needs to come in on this lap. Could be coming out. Maybe still in the points between Iwat and Darren. Not ideal for the Grand Prix start, however, still. Lap 8 out of 12. Might start looking for those slivers of rain relatively soon. Here we go, Undercheck on Nasi. Maybe down inside of turn 1. Yes, there we go, Undercheck retakes the lead of the Brazilian Grand Prix sprint, but here comes Nasi yet again, very, very close through the Sanasis. Tested inside for turn 4 and powers his way through yet again. We've seen this move a couple of times now, somewhat losing its excitement because we know it's going to happen. Nasi fending off Undercheck beautifully here, who doesn't really have an answer into turn 4. Turning into a game of strategy. Does Nasi or Undercheck might yet again come down to the last race. Djokovic has gone into service penalty as well. Has come out in P7. Now Iwat's a couple of seconds ahead of him. Should be able to catch up. But will he be able to overtake anything apart from Iwat's too far up the road? Might be able to salvage P6 from this. But he's going to take a hidden championship. This was the... Djokovic couldn't really afford doing this. Bit of a clumsy here as well. Undercheck then now. Is he going to go down the inside into turn 1? Yes, he is. Once again, he's just doing the same thing to Nasi over and over again. Does he have something set for maybe the last lap? Undercheck, because Nasi's doing the same thing every lap now, just flying past him, really. I don't think we've had more overtakes for the lead in a sprint race ever. We're having 2 overtakes for the lead per lap, and it's losing its excitement. Let's just say that. 2.5 laps to go then. Nasi versus Undercheck. Squidge at the moment in P3, very closely followed by Spenclose in P4. Wigan in P5. Wigan, once again, having a very decent race. Not even closely followed by Iwatts in P6 at the moment. Djokovic is catching the back of Iwatts. 2 laps to go. Still no signs of rain. Might be coming down towards that final lap, and if it does, that would shake things up if it starts coming down quickly. Squidge, freezing time penalty, multiple track limit warnings, and Spenclose has done something. Overtaken by Wigan. Maybe a bit of a movement then for Spenclose, as Undercheck is going to pass Nasi. No surprises there. Might we be going through this for the last time now then? Because we're coming up on the end of this race. Now, Nasi versus Undercheck. Ooh, as Undercheck makes it a bit harder for Nasi this time, maybe, but Nasi just able to fend off there. And now, heading into the last race, Nasi or Undercheck for the win of this sprint. It's all going to come down to turn 4. That is where it's going to happen. Spenclose at the moment is holding up Wigan beautifully for him to not be able to take a position away from Squidge. That is working out perfectly. Not an optimal penalty for Squidge, but it might work out regardless. Djokovic has been able to get past Iwatts. That is as far as it's going to get, as long as Wigan doesn't have an accident here at the very end of the race. Here we go, Nasi or Undercheck. It is going to be determined in a couple of corners. Undercheck, how much does he have to attack with? Looks like quite a lot. Here we go. Goes down the inside into turn 1. Now is the question, is Nasi gonna have enough juice to power past Undercheck one more time, and will he be able to defend on the last straight if Undercheck decides to give it a go there? Undercheck looks like he's pulling away a little bit now. Nasi Is he going to be able to attack? Looks like he's a bit too far back. Nassi might be too far back here. Might be having to give it a go through the penultimate corner. Now, Nassi, that's the first time he's not been able to do that. And I can promise you that was ensured by Undertech. He has been letting that go. But now it looks like the track is just getting that bit damp at certain spots. Undertech, more than half a second clear of Nassi. That might have decided this whole thing. Undertech, once again, just wearing Nassi down, maybe. And just able to clear him. 7 attempts now, and I believe Undertech has this one covered. Through the last corner, then needs to get a good exit here, or Nassi might be able to get a run on him. Decent exit that from Undertech. DRS will be enabled, but Undertech does have a bit to defend with. And I believe, once again, it is going to be victory for Undertech here in the Brazilian Grand Prix sprint after a long battle with Nassi, who just once again comes up short. Squidge takes P3 away from Spenklos and Wiggin. Wiggin's going to be a bit frustrated with having Spenklos out of him, not able to push for that 3-second gap. P3 for Squidge, P4 for Spenklos, P5 for Wiggins, a very good result. Out of Djokovic in P6. Oh, that is a... he couldn't afford to get that penalty. Djokovic set him back quite a bit, and now he's going to have to battle through traffic in the Grand Prix as well. Iwatts in P7 takes him a couple of points for Alpine with a double points finish. Maybe Hybrid takes it off the line from him. Oh, I believe those penalties at play anyways for Darren there, but Hybrid just steals it off the line anyways by a couple of thousandths of a second. But what I believe happened there, I believe Undertech had that fully covered for the entire race, setting up Nassi to do exactly what he wanted him. Not an impossibility, but it looked very much in control on that final lap. And if that's the case, then yeah, fair play to Undertech. Had that one in the bag, who takes the 8 points away from the Brazilian Grand Prix sprint from Nassi 7 and Squidges 6. Spenklos 5 points to start off this evening, with Wiggin with 4 additional points going to Red Bull, having a strong second half. Djokovic in P6, followed by Iwatts and Hybrid taking the final point. Derstyle in P9, then followed by Little Drips, who's going to be starting in P10. Padarang had a difficult race at the JV8, and No Lark spent the entirety of race in last. Wasn't able to recover there at the end. After the incident he had, I believe on the first lap, finished 50 seconds behind the JV8 and No Larks. Very close to each other though towards the end. So then, very entertaining sprint race as is usually the case. Now then, we are looking at bright, clear skies for the Grand Prix that is coming, which is going to be 36 laps worth of racing action. We will get back to you with those racing laps in a couple of minutes. Then we're going to be going to a bit of a longer break now until we get the race underway. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with you for the Brazilian Grand Prix. All right then, everyone, welcome back to the Brazilian Grand Prix NEF1 coverage for what is the fourth final race of the season. Free to go after this one, and the season is coming to a stop relatively soon as we're coming up on the launch of F1 24 as well. The ready up is just now being given and will be going racing in exactly 30 seconds time. Feel free to time it. As here we go then, 36 laps worth of racing action, 12 laps went by incredibly quick, no safety cars, one virtual safety car though, but not really a track which promotes incidents anymore. It used to, especially on F122, was a bit messy coming out of certain corners, but now with the more planted cars, and especially next year with cars that are even more planted by the sound of it, might be one of those tracks which is absolutely splendid for close racing. We'll wait and see what happens. But then, 36 laps worth of racing action here around Interlagos. This is going to be a good one as the formation lap begins. Ondrejek from Nasi is the same order to started the sprint in. However, Djokovic finds himself down a couple of places in P6. Needs to have a good start to the Grand Prix here and stay out of trouble. He might very well find himself out of championship contention by the end of this one. It's an interesting one, this. At the moment, Ondrejek's on pace, if he keeps doing what he's doing, to win the championship in Saudi. Bit of a gap down to Nasi. If he continues bridging that, there's a chance that the championship could be won next week out in Vegas. We'll wait and see. Had to do the maths post-race, obviously, but the championships, neither of them, as far as I'm aware at least, can be settled today. I don't think so. No, they can't. Just doing quick maths in my head. No championships can be settled tonight. When that happens, we'll let you know. As for strategies, everything looks relatively ordinary. A couple of people starting on the hards, most people starting on that medium tire. I believe Wiggins doing something different on the hards. Yes, he is. Something to go long on the first stint. Short on the second one. Ondrejek, Nasi and Squidge all starting on that yellow striped medium tire. So then, end of the formation lap then, Ondrejek lining up on the outside. Nasi, we saw him take a bit of a cheeky move down the inside of Ondrejek into turn 1 and 2 on lap 1 at the sprint race. Let's see if he can do a repeat of that as final cars are lining up on the grid. So I believe Hybrid just misplaced his parking there, and there we go. Red lights are coming on for the Brazilian Grand Prix, and it is lights out, and away we will soon go. There we go, and it looks like Nasi got away relatively well. Ondrejek might have him covered on this start though, or unless Nasi maybe figures a quick dive down inside in turn 1, tries to go down inside, just not quite managing it. I believe iWatts and Hybrid got into a bit of trouble there at the start, especially Hybrid, down a lot of positions now in P13. Ondrejek has the lead covered off now. Squidge maybe on the back of Nasi. Gets very close. Djokovic, though, down the inside of Spenclose, and the two make contact. Djokovic and Spenclose both off. That could be huge for the championship. Djokovic down in second to last here on the start of the Brazilian Grand Prix. And that's huge as Wigan makes contact with, what's that, Padarang maybe in P5. And it is kicking off here at the start of the Brazilian Grand Prix. People just getting a bit over anxious. And both Wigan, Djokovic, Hybrid having the race start of nightmares. Djokovic, though, still on the back of JV8 and Spenclose. Thankfully enough for him, now can start making moves further up the field. But Ondrejek and Nasi are going to check out in front. Squidge will be happy just covering P3 at the moment, which right now has just been gifted to him on a silver platter. Djokovic, bit far back. Now, here we go then. This is going to turn into a very interesting one. Darren up in P4. Don't think you would have expected that on the start with Padarang in P5 as well. I think we can say, though, we might be busy looking at incidents after that first lap. very decent chance we'll have a bit to look at. Lap 2 out of 36. Snassi gets a bit closer to Undertech, not quite close enough to start thinking about a move. Djokovic in P9 at the moment, scoring a couple of points. Watts P6, trying to cover up No Larks. Had a good start, up 6 positions from last up to P7. That's a good start there from No Larks, just keeping out of trouble. I believe, though, everyone behind No Larks did run into some sort of trouble. Now Watts will have his hands full. Just running a little bit wide. No Larks looking maybe towards the inside line there and thinking better of it. It's a long race this, 36 laps, but those laps are going to start coming down relatively quickly. DRS is enabled at the end of this lap, and here we go. No Larks flying past Watts. Is Spenclose also going to fancy his chances? Yes, he is. Whereas Djokovic a bit too far back, and Watts just around those positions for the time being. Makes slight contact with the back of Spenclose though. Now Djokovic is going to attempt to go through into turn 4 as well, and I believe he's going to have that move done and dusted by the time we get to the braking zone. Yes, he will. Djokovic up in P8, and not the best couple of kilometers for Watts, dropping 3 positions within the space of 5 corners. Such is the nature of this track, unfortunately. Very, very unforgiving. Ondrejek and Nasivan. P1 and P2 followed by Squidge, who is now checking into a race of his own, which I'm sure he won't mind at all. Would love to be continuing just running like this throughout the entire race. 36 laps is going to go by quite quickly when you're running laps this way. Not close to Nasi ahead, not close to Darren Style behind. Just absolutely bang on for Squidge 2017 at the moment. Padarang might have a little go down inside of Darren Style heading into turn 4. Wait and see, but he is gaining. Turns to the inside, and he's going to have that move done and dusted by the time we get to the apex of the corner. Padarang goes up to P4. Darren still very much on the back of him. You don't want to try pulling a move off there, Darren. It's going to cost you both too much time, because guess who's creeping up behind? It's No Larks. Gonna need to cover him off as well. And on the back of No Larks as well is Djokovic. This is going to give Squidge something to think about, but a couple of seconds between them for the time being. About 5 seconds if I'm doing the math correctly. The longer this situation ensues, the better for Squidge. So here we go. No Larks now going to try going past Darren Style around the outside of the Senna SS. That's gonna be a bit tricky. Just manages to squeeze through though. Now is No Larks gonna have DRS to try to defend from Darren on the run down to turn 4. Luckily for him, yes he will. Crucial, or Dan would have probably had that position back. No Larks just within DRS range of Padarang, able to defend away from Darren there. Watts now past little drips as well, go back up to P9. Djokovic settling in P4 at the moment, behind Spenclose in P7. Not really finding a way past this train for the time being. And it is in Spenclose's best interest for William's sake to keep Djokovic there for as long as he can. Still very early on in the race. Very big chance of a safety car or virtual coming in and affecting this one. Nasi is about to take the lead of this Grand Prix away from Ondrejek. A bit coming out of nowhere there. Hadn't really paid attention to the leaders for a couple of laps, and they're biting my head off for it. They've gotten a lot of coverage this season, this pairing of Nasi and Ondrejek. Now just looking away from them for a couple of laps, and now Ondrejek is going to do to Nasi what he did to him so many times in the sprint. Nasi, bit wiser to it though, stays ahead. Oh, it is so close between the two, though. Undercheck tries to go around the outside, and that is huge. That is the first foot wrong Undercheck has put this entire season off the track, and that's going to take him a while to recover. Squidge is off the track. What is going on with the championship leader? This has handed all the advantage to Nasi 31. Undercheck now. That is the first mistake we have seen from Undercheck this entire season. And it could be huge for the championship. That could be absolutely massive. It allows Nasi to go well ahead and now should be able to settle into a pace to just bring this one home, unless we have a safety car or something like that, which would infuriate Nasi, I'm sure. It's a long way still to go. But 10 seconds now the gap between Nasi and Undercheck. I do not reckon Undercheck's going to be able to bring that home on pure pace. Now this is turning really interesting. Djokovic as well involved in this battle as well, and Undercheck is going to have to fight his way past him. The podium now consists of Nasi, Patrang and No Larks, because Squidge, same unforced error. He followed Undercheck round in the very same corner in the very same way, and it took them a long time to get back onto the circuit. Spun out in just the wrong place, as we're just coming up to now. It's a big infield with quite high undulation as well. You can't really drive around everywhere there. We're just going to lose the rear even more. Now, this is turning interesting, and this is exactly the type of twist that for the championship is, it's brilliant entertainment-wise. No Larks at the moment in P2, as Matt is pointing out as well. Absolutely cheering on his teammate in the chat. Love to see it. Here we go. Nasi, No Larks and Patarang's your podium. Spenclose in P4. Djokovic in P5 now. Undercheck holding station in P7. Not making any progress yet on Darren's style. But now just got to settle back into a room here. Take a couple of laps. Just relax. And start at it again. However, very rare mistake that from Undercheck, but an incredibly costly one. IWATS, 3-second time penalty, multiple track limit warnings. As Patarang very much on the back of No Lark still. Nasi with a comfortable advantage now up ahead. Will be able to dictate the pace of the race as long as we don't have a safety car. So here we go. It is a long train though, all the way up in P2. However, Djokovic and Undercheck are going to be battling through that. But these DRS trains, especially now that we've got a couple of really quick guys at the front of it, especially with No Larks showing real pace this season, is going to be increasingly hard trying to get past now. It's going to turn into a difficult one for Djokovic. Maybe Undercheck. Might be time to do something different strategy-wise. Put a gamble on. If you're, for example, Undercheck now, not really too much to lose. Couple of races still to go, and I do believe he feels comfortable. He has advantage of Nasi and Djokovic for the last couple of races. Might be well for Undercheck to try to do something different to get past this train, because he does have clear air behind him if he was to come into pit. Still very early on here, lap 9 though, out of 36, as he goes round the outside of Darren's style. Says thank you very much. Could have ended an absolute disaster that, but just working out beautifully, and Undercheck's up to P6. But for both Djokovic and Undercheck now, it's a weird phase of the Grand Prix where it's going to be hard for them to battle their way up the order really with the way things are with this little DRS train. Could it be worth trying to pull an interesting one on strategy? No Larks is actually really hanging with Nasi at the moment. The question is Nasi just managing his pace, keeping clear of any mistakes? Or is No Larks driving out of his mind? Djokovic has gotten past Patarang for P3 and is going to start putting pressure on No Larks. The quicker Djokovic can do that, the better of a situation he's in, trying to gap Undercheck a little bit. Already a little bit of a gap, but he'd love to open that up just that bit more. As Padarang down the inside of Djokovic, maybe through turn 4, not going to happen, but he's going to cost Djokovic a bit of valuable time. I'm sure the Ferrari's not going to be overly pleased with that. Absolutely entitled to go for the move though. Spen close on the back of Padarang as well. Ondrejek 2.1 seconds behind him. No signs of any major drama at the moment. Little drips is coming into pit lane. This is interesting. What's happening to the Haas driver? Is that potentially a set of medium tires going on? Yes, it is. As we have yellow flags in Sector 1, that is JV8 coming back on track. See if he can do so safely. Yes, he can. Yellow flags should be sorted. Green flag back to racing conditions. Djokovic now then starting to eke into the advantage that No Larks has just that little bit. Ondrejek and Spenklos now past Padarang as well. Ondrejek starting to eat into that advantage just a little bit, but it still needs to overtake, which is going to cost him about half second's worth of lap time approximately. Meanwhile, Nassi is managing the gap very nicely up front, 9.4 seconds as he laps Hybrid, who is in AI mode if I'm not mistaken. Might have been ghosted as there's a lap car coming up though. Here we go, Djokovic maybe trying to pull off a move on No Larks down the inside of turn 1. Is he going to be able to make that work? No Larks, I don't think he's going to fight that one too hard. Move was always coming. Djokovic retakes the lead. Spenklos has crashed out of this race coming out of turn 1. That is a full core safety car. And Spenklos, it all goes wrong for him. Coming out of turn 2, full safety car here. That maybe just saves Ondrejek a bit, or it saves Ondrejek a lot. Now, what is Nassi going to do? Has to make a decision here relatively early on. Does he go on a bit of an alternate strategy to go for a two-stopper? Does he pull on a set of hards, try to go to the end? Needs to make a decision, needs to make it quick. That really has saved Ondrejek's race, that, and Djokovic now going to be allowed to catch right back up to Nassi as well. So Nassi's going to come out in P1 regardless. That's not a situation. It will close the pack back up though. As Nassi is coming into the pit lane, then I would assume Djokovic and Ondrejek are going to do the same. So Djokovic is into the pit lane, so is No Lark, so is Ondrejek. Padarang's coming in, Darren's coming in. Everyone's going to be coming into the pit lane then. So the order is going to remain unchanged then, as everyone's coming into the pit lane at the same time. I believe everyone has opted for the same strategy as well, making this a pure fight to the line. Nassi, Djokovic, No Larks involved in this as well, but now focus goes back to Nassi, Djokovic and Ondrejek. Padarang doing something different there on a set of medium tires could prove dangerous for the first couple of laps. Those hards take a bit of time to fire up. Iwat's doing the same, Wigan doing the same. For a couple of people that pitted earlier, this could have actually worked out beautifully. Assuming Djokovic and Ondrejek, quite glad at the moment they didn't take my advice doing something different and pitting early. Because that could have been an absolute disaster for them, as things stand right now. So in other words, don't listen to the guy who hasn't done league racing for a good couple of years now. Listen to the guys who have done league racing for a good couple of years. They're at the absolute top of NEF1. And yeah, just a lot better probably. Just listen to those guys instead. Usually have better advice than I do. But a safety car that very much resets this race. Spenclose out of the running then. Looked like he was going to have a very decent one, but the race ends in turn 2 after contact with the barrier. I believe it might have been an unforced error. So Spenclose out of this race. Has reset everything though. So, and sorry, I'm just turning a bit silent, just looking at stuff relating to League outside of what is currently going on. So Nasi Djokovic leads from No Larks in P3. He's going to do everything he can to stay ahead of Ondrzejczyk, but it might be a losing battle. That could be difficult. Wait and see. Tricky this for Nasi. Now gonna have to fight off Djokovic and Ondrzejczyk in a completely different way than he would have wanted to. Safety car staying out for one more lap. 14-15 out of 36. So over 20 laps to go still. Not even at the halfway mark of this race. And lots already happened. See if anything else goes on. Darren in P6 then, Squidge in P7, Iwatts in P8, Wigan in P9, having a difficult start to the race and a difficult first stint. Little Drips in P10 followed by J and Hybrid. Van Spenclose out of the running. Safety car should be coming in at the end of this lap. The grid is all formed up and I believe those lights are going to come off any moment now. 3, 2, 1 and gone. Maybe. Or is it going to leave it that late? There we go. Safety car's coming in this lap. That left it way too late in my opinion. Not really a lot Nasi could do. Now the question is, how much does he back the field up? And when does he go to give Djokovic the least amount of slipstream heading into turn 1 that he possibly can? Djokovic, keep in mind, will be a bit stressed over the points lost in the sprint. About 4 points in total, I believe. So still not a massive point swing, but he will feel it. Safety car is in. There we go with Nasi. Djokovic, has he been caught unaware a little bit? Not too bad. How's Ondrzejczyk doing on No Larks? He's doing brilliantly on No Larks. He's going down the inside on No Larks into turn 1, and he might well have that move done by the time we get through the San SS. Ondrzejczyk's back up into the top 3, and here we go once again. The man has been absolutely saved by the safety car. Djokovic now maybe down the inside of Nasi going into turn 4. Not gonna happen, but now it is a battle for the lead of the Grand Prix here between the usual suspects inside the top 3. Darren's ran into a problem now, running in P12 as well, falling down a lot of positions on that restart. Unfortunate for him. But now, once again, all focus probably going to diverge to the battle at the front lap. 16 out of 36, 21 laps to go, 20 at the end of this one. Pattering at the moment running in P5, being followed by Squidge, who I believe is going to start going on the attack relatively early. Mediums is going to be interesting as well. Patarang is on them and Wigan is on them. Question is, are they going to be able to use them? All the top three at the moment on the hard tyres. We go Nasi, Djokovic and Ondrejek. It's looking procedural for the time being. The arrows will be enabled next lap. So nothing really going on at the front. As Patarang's made it past no larks actually going through. I would imagine turn 4. Patarang working the magic on the mediums now up in P4. The question is, can he make those last towards the end of the race, and can he run those tires towards the end of the race? Actually, might be gambling on another safety car here, which I wouldn't put it past. I wouldn't put it past us that we might have another safety car. Wait and see, still a long ways to go. Now coming up to the halfway stage of the Grand Prix. As Little Drips gets a free second time penalty, multiple track limit warnings. Now, Nasi and Djokovic. Ondrejek would love for these two to start fighting each other relatively hard. Need to get past each other clean. Want to keep Ondrejek behind them. Obviously, if these two were teammates, it would be a completely different story. The championship rivals, they're not going to do each other any favours whatsoever. So Ondrejek is just going to sit behind and watch this unfold of him. He's got quite a fair couple of laps to work out how he wants to play this one. Here we go then, first time down the back straight since the restart with the DRS open. Now it's a question, how hard is Djokovic going to go for the position? Or are we just going to run like this for a couple of laps now? Djokovic's closing in on Nasi, maybe down the inside. No, stays behind for the time being. Does take the fastest lap of the Grand Prix though. Not a perfect run through the center S's whatsoever from Djokovic. Might have gone on track limit some validation there as well. Can't get too many of those. Maybe down the inside of turn 4. Thinks about it. Thinks better of it. Order remains the same. Ondrejek does creep a bit closer though. As Darren, I believe Jay might have had an issue on his own there. Darren just getting caught potentially. Yellow flags in Sector 2, now cleared. And that is the type of racing Nasi and Djokovic. Oh, as Nasi has had a little bit of a moment coming out of the last corner, and now is that going to allow Ondrejek to go past him as well? Yes, it is. No one's mistake-free this evening now. Nasi gonna desperately try to come back at the pair of them, and he very well might with the ADAS and DRS here. Or is Ondrejek gonna be able to take the lead of the Grand Prix? No, it's gonna go side by side with the three of them. The championship top 3 all involved in the battle in the same corner. Nasi comes out in the lead after that little situation. The only thing that happened is that Djokovic, who looked like he might take the lead coming out of the final corner, ends up in P3 and a little bit behind now. That didn't do Nasi or Djokovic any favours really. It's given the incentive back to Ondrejek, because P2 realistically where you want to be in these situations, where you can control everything going on. Because with the aid of the DRS from Nasi, Ondrejek should be able to keep Djokovic behind him, and Ondrejek can just sit behind Nasi for a little bit, start attacking whenever he wants to. No stress still, 16 laps to go. So P2 at the moment, probably the advantageous position to be in. I believe though Ondrzejczyk might have had a bit of a moment coming out of the last corner, giving a bit of incentive to Djokovic, who is closing towards the Senna SS. Not quite close enough to think about a diving move though. Djokovic staying on the inside curve for an awful long time. As the Mercedes just teases a move to the inside, Nasi not going to fall for that one on this occasion, not having to go defensive. And we have the same order for yet another lap then, Nasi, Ondrzejczyk and Djokovic. Wiggins running a decent second stint at the moment. On the back of Squidge here, on that medium tyre. Might have to pit again though. Wait and see, but the mediums are working well for him at the moment. So here we go, once again, on the check on the back of Nasi, looking towards turn 1 potentially. And oh, he might actually go for it on this occasion. Down the inside into the Senna SS. Gets that move done. Nasi now can't get involved in a battle with Djokovic. He's going to try to get past immediately. Yes, he will. We've seen this move a couple of times. And Nasi down the inside of Ondrzejczyk into turn 4. I believe for maybe the 10th time this evening. VK retakes the lead of the Grand Prix. The top 3 separated by 2.5 tenths of a second going through Sector 1. As Little Drips now retired from the session, that has brought out another safety car. Now, with a couple of laps to go, this is where it gets interesting. Does anyone pull an interesting one here? Does Nasi maybe come in for another set of tyres? Ondrzejczyk and Djokovic, what do they do? It's a scarce grid at the moment. Is it worth going for it? Little Drips out of this race then. In the middle stages of it. Lap 22. It's opening up options, especially if that happened in a couple of laps. Nasi is coming into the pit lane, so is Ondrzejczyk, so is Djokovic. The top 3 going for it. What is No Larks doing? He's staying out on the hard tyres. No Larks will be taking the lead of the Grand Prix then. Wiggins surely has got to come in on his medium. Squidge is coming in on his hards. Oh, this might not. Yeah, sorry, No Larks. This might not work out well. I think too many people opted to come into the pits there. Question is, what is going on? Medium tyres or softs? Softs for Nasi. Softs for Ondrzejczyk. We've seen these guys on soft tyres quite a bit throughout the sprint race, whilst No Larks is stuck on out there on hard tyres. Oh, this could be harsh on the AlphaTauri driver. I don't think he expected that many people to go into the pit lane, but everyone seemingly coming in for a set of softs. And this is one of the scary situations where it is so easy for a driver being attacked to get involved in an incident, because No Larks is now going to be on a massive tyre deficit to everyone behind him. And they're going to try to get past as quick as possible. And they're going to stress to get past as well. Nasi will have the first opportunity to get past, maybe down to turn 1 or turn 4 if he can get a good run out of Senna SS. Ondrzejczyk will want to get past immediately because he doesn't want to stay behind, lose track of Nasi for an entire lap. Maybe even 2, seeing that the DRS won't be enabled. Djokovic will try to stress past as well. No Larks is in a dangerous situation at the moment. He's in control, but he is in a dangerous situation. We've seen this quite a many times this season. With that tyre deficit proves lethal. And all meanwhile, these drivers also have to watch themselves causing incidents, because they don't want to be given a time penalty, which could add up at the beginning or at the end of this race. Could prove costly. So can't really afford any contact. Nasi in the best situation at the moment. Ondrejek will be trying to follow through as quick as he can. Twelve laps to go at the moment. Nolarks is going to stay out there. Question is, how old are those tires? They're 11 laps old. It's quite a big tire deficit. Wait and see how it goes. The safety car's coming in this lap then. So this is where routine comes into play as well. Nolark's not been in control of too many restarts. Let's see how that routine shows. Safety cars coming into the pit lane quite soon past the control line. That is when Nolarks is going to decide when they're going. Goes rather rarely. Nasi manages to stay with him quite well. Ondrejek just a bit down on Nasi. Now Nasi has maybe an opportunity down into turn 4. Won't want to allow Ondrejek the same opportunity though. That is the tricky part. Djokovic, 3-second time penalty, multiple track limit warnings. Couldn't really afford that one. Now this is turning into an interesting one and a lethal situation for Nolarks. Might be in the middle of everything. Nasi tries to hang it around the outside. Nolarks just runs him out of road a little bit. Nasi now around the outside of Ondrejek, trying to defend his position for his life. It's going to be so tempted running Ondrejek out of road here, and he will. Now then, still side by side, heading into the penultimate corner now. This situation where contact could quite easily happen between the two. Just managed to stay clear. Nolarks still in the lead after almost a full lap. I did not expect that whatsoever. Now, however, going down to turn 1 could very well change. See how good a run those softs offer. Need to get past quick. Question is, Nasi is going to get past into turn 1, I think we can safely say. He's going to give a lot to get that done. Now, how big of a slipstream is Ondrejek going to get? A big one, and we have a full cost safety car with Nasi in P1. Did Ondrejek get past Nolarks there? Or did he end up behind? It's a full safety car nevertheless. I believe Ondrejek made it past Nolarks just as that safety car was coming out. Indeed, so after that short racing period, it's almost like a NASCAR race, this stage racing, yellow flags everywhere. Nasi's in the lead of the race now, having cleared Nolarks with Ondrejek. Djokovic has found himself in a shit situation with a couple of laps ago with that time penalty. Needs to iron those things out. Could cost him championships if he keeps that going. Might well cost him this one. Squidge in P5 in really a good situation as well. So's Wigan. Nolarks might be in a situation as well where he needs to go into the pit now and just realize he got the strategy a bit wrong. Should have probably come into the pit lane. Give himself a couple of racing laps to battle back up the order. Quite a couple of people with penalties. It's Nolarks going to come in here. It's going to get a chance at a cheap pit stop. Yeah, Nolarks is coming into the pit lane. Unleashes Djokovic back into the top 3. Gonna have quite a lot of racing laps still at the end of this one to determine. DRS will be re-enabled, crucially. It's gonna turn into a strategic one, this one, between Nasi and Ondrejek yet again. Seemingly when that happens, Ondrejek does have the advantage. We'll see then, coming up on the end of the Brazilian Grand Prix. This is a race where Nasi made a small mistake, but Ondrejek made a massive one. He's lucky the safety car came out when it did and not a bit later. Might have already gone in if that's the case, but came in perfect opportunity, brought him back, and now still added chance, a very likely chance, at the 25 points here. And what would be, if he was able to get the fastest lap as well, would be the second perfect points haul in a row. Had an absolutely perfect weekend last time out in Kota, taking the sprint, fastest lap and Grand Prix win. Keep in mind, fastest lap point does count for something in this Grand Prix. Everyone now on soft tyres as well. Fastest lap at the moment goes to Djokovic, 1:10.734. So when the season goes on, 3 races to go after this one. 4 if you count the 2 races next weekend in Vegas. But this could be a huge one for the championship. Nasi would have been hoping for Ondrzejczyk to not benefit off that first safety car. Maybe try to get a bit of a bigger points haul back. But he'd take any points haul that he could. Ondrzejczyk, however, with a big opportunity now. Keep in mind, Nasi's already a bit behind Djokovic in the Drivers' Championship. If Ondrzejczyk manages to get past Nasi here, might realistically eliminate Nasi from contention. Not mathematically, that's going to be hard to do this weekend. I believe it'll be impossible to do this weekend, but realistically, can absolutely happen with the level of consistency Ondrzejczyk's showing, even with this mistake, still fighting for a Grand Prix win. Are we going to see the safety car come in at the end of this lap? The field's all bunched up once again. We should see the safety car in by this lap. It's a short safety car. Here we go then. We're going to have 8 laps worth of racing at the end here. Nasi versus Ondrzejczyk then. Djokovic with the time penalty. Can he get involved in this as well? Nasi then goes relatively early, catches Ondrzejczyk off guard. Djokovic following Ondrzejczyk rather nicely. Then there's a little bit of a gap down to the Williams, but nice and easy on the restart. Nothing really going on. Yeah, nice and easy restart there for everyone involved. Hybrid moment just on the back of No Larks after his pit stop. No Larks does have a slight tire advantage over everyone else. Tries to go around the outside of No Larks into turn 4. Not going to be able to make that work probably ever from that far back. Pattering very much on the back of Wigan as well. 3/10 of a second close between everyone. So far, give it a lap or two, it'll spread out a little bit and we're going to get an idea of what the battles for these final couple of laps are going to be. No Larks did not need that mistake. 3-second time penalty adds on to his troubles, gets past JV8 though with 6 seconds worth of penalties. Could prove damaging to his race there at the end, going for his, I believe, 3rd straight point finish, JV8. Potentially, but could prove difficult now with that additional penalty. Nasi and Ondrzejczyk now. This is going to turn into a really, really interesting one. Ondrzejczyk fastest lap at the Grand Prix so far, 10.3. On his way to a perfect points haul, needs 1 more position in order to make this work. So here we go, the top 3's running within a second of each other yet again. The DRS will be enabled, is it at the end of this lap, I believe? Was it at the end of the last lap? Should be at the end of this one if I'm not mistaken. Went racing on lap 29 again, should be at the end of this lap, yeah. So the DRS will soon be re-enabled, then we'll have 5 laps to go. Nassi and Ondrejek, which of them are going to go home, take the 25 points home away from Brazil. Nassi needs this win almost, keep his championship hopes alive heading into Vegas. Now here though, Ondrejek goes maybe down inside in turn 4, a move that Nassi's done so many times on him, but Ondrejek is going to deploy it this time and takes the lead of the Brazilian Grand Prix. Nassi might try taking an unorthodox route back ahead. Now got to try to put as much pressure as possible on Ondrejek, maybe down inside. No, thinks better of it, but might that have been a move that sealed victory for Ondrejek? Couple of laps to go still. And a move that came earlier than what we usually see from Ondrejek. Squidge at the moment sitting in P4 could turn into a podium if he manages to stay close to Djokovic. Nassi now, maybe down inside into turn 1, is going to be able to get that done now. Ondrejek is going to have the same run him down to turn 4. Djokovic is right there though as well. Ondrejek down the inside of Nassi, who's not covering the inside off. No one's really covering that inside off, trying to make someone go the long way round. Ondrejek retakes the lead now. Surprised no one's defending, however. So here we go then, just a couple of laps. Ondrejek from Nassi from Djokovic with that 3-second time penalty out of contention for this win, if I'm not mistaken. Unless anything drastic happens between Ondrejek and Nassi, that could see Djokovic maybe into the lead of the championship. Something as drastic as what I'm thinking would happen does. Yellow flags through sector 3, and is that going to prove an issue for the remainder of the race? Wiggins having an issue down in P11. Nolarts getting past Squidge for P4, sorry. Nassi now on the back of Ondrejek. Ondrejek having to defend here. Now, the question is Nassi going to try to set Ondrejek up for a move late, maybe even on the last lap, maybe into turn 4, and is Ondrejek going to start preparing for that? As Nassi resorted to trying to beat Ondrejek at his own game, and will he be able to? Ondrejek will be wise to it. Question is he going to be able to do anything to it? The DRS has been effective here. I don't think we've ever seen this many overtakes for the lead in any F1 event. It's been one basically every single lap. Half a second separate Ondrejek and Nassi then as we're entering lap 34. 3 laps to go. Nassi maybe down inside in turn 1 could have gone for it, which would have compromised Ondrejek quite a bit. Going for a move like that. Thinks better of it still. And Ondrejek doesn't look worried that Nassi's gonna overtake him yet. Is Ondrejek just getting ready for the last lap onslaught as well? Djokovic at the moment, maybe just covering his rear a little bit, staying with these guys, trying to make sure to protect his P3, which is the best thing that Djokovic can do really in this situation. 2 laps to go then. Oh, as Djokovic maybe sticks one down the inside of Nassi, and that is going to compromise Nassi a lot because it forces him further away from Ondřiček. For Djokovic, that's a stupid move for the championship. It's primarily fighting Ondřiček, not Nassi. So get close to making contact. Now, this is getting messy. Nassi would have wanted to be left alone with Ondřiček. With 1 lap to go now, 1.5 lap to go. And Djokovic, realistically, not in with a chance of gapping Ondřiček here this late on. Even if he's able to get the overtake done, the only thing he'll do is finish ahead on track. On penalties, he'll drop back further. Nassi's had an issue coming back onto the circuit. Now, crucially, will he be able to keep the P3? Nassi, this has not gone well for him on the last couple of laps. Djokovic has probably, well, he has handed this win to Ondřiček now. With that was, as for the championship racing, obviously Djokovic will want to go for it. Before the championship, that was a bad move from Djokovic, really. Unless he can force Ondřiček into an error here in the last lap. But Djokovic would have benefited of Nassi winning that race and Ondřiček getting brought a bit closer. That's not going to happen. Ondřiček is going to win this race. Djokovic maybe sticking his nose in a situation where really he shouldn't have. Now, however, Nassi 4 seconds back. Actually, sorry, Djokovic, by doing that, forced Nassi into dropping back so much that Djokovic is going to inherit P2 away from him. Nassi here, with a result that could see him realistically brought out of championship contention. Not mathematically, that still takes a lot. But Ondřiček is going to take this win. Djokovic is going to take P2 away from him. Wow! I did not see that coming. I wasn't even thinking about that penalty. Djokovic will take P2 away from Nassi here in a shock twist towards the end. Ondřiček is going to extend his win streak at the Brazilian Grand Prix, but Djokovic will take P2. A move that I thought was clumsy. In the end, didn't turn to be so. Nassi takes P3, Squidge with P4 there. Touches the wall at the very end there, which I'm not sure about. Nolarks with P5, followed by a good points finish for Aston Martin. P6 and P7. P8 for Iwald's decent points finish with P9 for Darren Start. What the fuck? Sorry about the language, but stuff's going on. And JV8 with another points finish in P10. Wiggins gonna come across last of the finishes in P11. No points for the Swede tonight, unfortunately, in the Grand Prix, that is. But Ondřiček takes the win here in Brazil, extends the championship lead, and now he is going into the final 3 races very much with one hand on the trophy. And we could see that trophy being lifted, I don't think in Vegas, correct me if I'm wrong, but in Saudi there is a very decent chance that we could. Ondřiček, with a massive mistake still though in the Grand Prix, manages to get through anyways, and he takes the win of the Brazilian Grand Prix. As there we go, the second perfect weekend in a row from Ondřiček sees him on 34 points over the weekend and extends the lead in the championship by a lot on Nassi and Djokovic, both with Nassi. I can't call it a shaky performance. Djokovic maybe in the, especially in the sprint race, not so much in the Grand Prix. As for the race results, Ondřiček takes top on his way from Djokovic. Nassi, Squidge in P4 with good result, followed by Nolarks in P5, Padarang in Hybrid P6 and P7, Iwalt in P8, Darren and JV8 rounds off the points, P9 and P10. Little drips, Spenclose failed to finish. So then, a Brazilian Grand Prix that comes to a close, then what we can establish now, Undertech does have one hand on the trophy heading in to Las Vegas, and if I'm not mistaken, the championship probably could be determined there if everything goes a bit sideways for both Nasi and Djokovic. Unlikely, but possible. But then, that is setting us up beautifully for the event next week, the second ever running of the Las Vegas Grand Prix in NEF1. So don't miss out on that. Same time in exactly 7 days' time. We'll be back with you for more NEF1 action. Round the streets of Las Vegas then, down the infamous Vegas Strip. Until then, thank you everyone for joining us this evening. If you haven't followed already, please do so. It'll massively help the channel and league out. Also go check out our YouTube, as all races will be available for viewing later on there. Until next week then, have a good one, stay safe. Congratulations once again, Undertech, and peace out.